My older sister looks like the ultimate doting sister type on the surface, but deep down she actually wants to be my wife. Not only does she crawl into my bed every night, she also loves hugging me and smothering me with kisses. And when my parents found out about all of this, they weren't angry at all. Instead, they happily cheered her on from the sidelines, all because she's my biological older sister. And ever since she was little, her dream has been to marry me. If you dare not to like me, I'll just pick you up and take you for myself right now. I was at the airport picking up my sister, whom I hadn't seen in 5 years. Not long after I arrived, I spotted Chloe Carter. Because wherever she went, she was always the center of attention. I smiled as I walked over to her, my heart beating a little faster than usual. The sister I hadn't seen in 5 years had become even more beautiful than I remembered. Ethan, it's been years. You've gotten handsome, haven't you? Come here and let me get a good look at you. Chloe, don't. Be good. Come here and let me see. Ethan, you haven't seen your sister in so long. Didn't you miss me like crazy? There are so many people around. This isn't exactly appropriate. What's inappropriate about it? I'd like to see who dares say anything about you, Chloe declared domineeringly. Maybe her words really did have an effect, because the men around us quickly looked away. As expected, my mighty sister is still the best. Your little brother is truly impressed. Glad you know it. Chloe finally let me go, then naturally took my hand. Can you promise me one thing? What? Next time, can you stop crashing into me with those things? Chloe's face immediately turned red. You've gotten pretty bold. You dare criticize your sister now? Chloe reached over and twisted my ear. Sis! I was wrong. Ow, stop. Let's see if you dare complain about me again. I won't. I definitely won't. Let's just hurry home. Dad and Mom are still waiting for us to have dinner. I haven't seen them in years either. Even though we video call all the time, it's still not the same as seeing them in person. Come on, let's go. At the dinner table, Dad and Mom kept piling food onto Chloe's plate, and once again, I was completely ignored. Seeing me puff out my cheeks in annoyance, Chloe quickly started putting food on my plate too. Chloe, Ethan can feed himself. You don't need to serve him. You can't spoil boys too much. Otherwise, when he gets married someday, he'll expect his wife to wait on him too. Chloe thought to herself that she'd be more than willing to do that. The thought instantly brightened her mood. After dinner, my parents had something to take care of and went out, leaving Chloe and me home alone. Mom, Dad, don't worry. I'll stay home and behave with Ethan. Right, Ethan? Yeah. Whatever Chloe says, under the pressure of my sister's stare. I had no choice but to reluctantly agree. Chloe and I sat in the living room staring at each other. Little brother, it's just one man and one woman alone together. If you wanted to do something, I wouldn't exactly be able to resist. Can you act normal for once? Stop messing with my head. I was already hovering dangerously close to losing control. If the person in front of me hadn't been the sister I'd shared a bed with since childhood, I probably would have lost it a long time ago. What kind of dirty thoughts are going through your head? Have you been looking at too much stuff online? I know boys your age have a lot of pent-up energy. Do you need your sister to help you out? That question hit me right where it hurt, but I still righteously rejected my sister's generous offer. I get it. My little brother has grown up. Now he doesn't want his sister anymore. As she spoke, Chloe even pretended to wipe tears from her eyes before walking into her room. I sat alone in the living room for a moment, but eventually decided to go after her and see what was going on. If Mom and Dad found out I'd made Chloe cry, I'd probably get chased around the house with a belt. I pushed the door open and found Chloe curled beneath the blanket, her shoulders trembling as if she were crying. I immediately panicked. I'd thought she was only pretending. I never expected her to actually cry. I hurried over to comfort her. Sis, I'm sorry. Just pretend I never said anything. I swear I won't do it again. I apologized as humbly as possible, hoping my sister would be generous enough to forgive me. Meanwhile, beneath the blanket, Chloe was secretly delighted. She hadn't expected her annoying little brother to care about her this much. Now she could finally relax. Your Highness, it was all my fault. Please stop crying, okay? I coaxed Chloe like I was comforting a little kid. Do you think I'm 3 years old? I'm not even mad. Chloe lifted her chin with a smug expression. Really? You're seriously not mad? That's awesome. The moment I realized I wouldn't be getting beaten up by both my parents, I was overjoyed. You idiot. Just because I said I'm not mad doesn't mean I'm actually not mad. Chloe snapped in frustration. She couldn't believe her little brother was this dense. No wonder I was so handsome. Yet still didn't have a girlfriend. Ethan, you must be pretty popular with girls at school, right? You're handsome after all. And you've got a great body. Chloe was clearly fishing for information. Know your enemy and know yourself, and you'd never lose a battle. It's okay, not that many. Then, is there anyone among those girls you like? Of course not. How could I possibly be interested in any of them? Half the tension in Chloe's heart disappeared. Then who do you like? Or what kind of girl is your type? Chloe immediately sat up straighter, looking little nervous. Do I have to answer that all this time? And the woman I'd liked was sitting right in front of me. But if I told her, what if my sister didn't feel the same way about me? Wouldn't that be humiliating? So I wanted to avoid the question and save myself from an awkward situation. No way, Ethan. Are you actually gay? Okay, I understand. I guess that really would be hard to talk about. The half of Chloe's heart that had just relaxed shot right back up, even higher than before. Of course not. I'm not gay. My orientation is perfectly normal, okay? What are you even thinking? Stupid sister. I was genuinely annoyed now. I couldn't believe she was questioning my sexuality. Then tell me what kind of girl you like. Chloe immediately returned. To her original question, I figured I might as well go for it. Embarrassment was embarrassment. It was still better than being misunderstood as gay. I like girls like you. Beautiful, with a great figure. And most importantly, someone who's caring. No way. Did this brat really like her? Chloe's heart was pounding like a drum. So her annoying little brother really did like her. Your sister is a woman you'll never be able to have. Chloe lifted her chin smugly again. Huh? What? I said I like girls who are your type. I never said I liked you. Even though she'd seen right through me, I still stubbornly denied it. Why are you explaining yourself? Explaining means you're hiding something. And hiding something means it's true. Since you like me so much, Ethan, I'll reward you with the chance to go shopping with me. Chloe knew exactly how to seize an opportunity and planned to use it to get even closer to me. When we headed downstairs, I spotted a McLaren parked directly in front of our garage. Ethan, whose car is that? Whoever owns it has no manners. Parking right in front of our garage. Call a tow truck. Chloe deliberately complained. Your Highness, that's a McLaren. It costs over $4 million. If we damage it, we can't afford to pay for it. Then call the owner. Isn't their phone number displayed on the car? Oh, right. I quickly dialed the number posted on the windshield. Then Chloe's phone started ringing. Chloe and I stared at each other. And right under my stunned gaze, she answered. Hello? What can I do for you? Chloe spoke into her phone. My call had connected too, and my sister's voice was coming from the other end. I stared at Chloe with my eyes wide open, completely dumbfounded. Never in a million years had I expected that this McLaren actually belonged to my sister. Looking at it another way, didn't that mean I could drive it too? What's mine is mine. And what's my sister's is also mine. Your Highness, this car is actually yours? How are you so rich? Why? Am I not allowed to be? Chloe looked completely casual, as though to her, this was nothing worth mentioning. Seriously, how did you suddenly get so rich? I was genuinely curious. Our family owned a small company, so we weren't exactly poor. But there was no way the allowance my parents had given Chloe over the past few years would have been enough for her to buy a supercar. Had Mom and Dad really been favoring her that much? I studied in Europe and started a logistics company. I ended up making a fortune. I'm worth several billion now. There was a hint of pride in Chloe's voice. Wow, you're amazing. Why don't you just keep me as your spoiled little boy? You can drive this car whenever you want, but you are not allowed to drive other girls around in it. You're only allowed to be my personal driver. Got it? Chloe warned me, then tossed me the keys. Yes, ma'am. I grabbed them excitedly and practically lunged for the driver's door. Watching how impatient I was, Chloe realized she apparently wasn't even as attractive to me as a car. Before long, we arrived at the biggest shopping center in town, Drunken Mall. Chloe naturally wrapped her arm around mine. And to anyone watching, we looked exactly like a couple madly in love. Good little brother, come shop for clothes with me. Everything I have at home is from years ago. None of it fits anymore. Sure, I agreed without hesitation. We walked along arm in arm, and before long, we reached the entrance of a lingerie store. Chloe suddenly stopped. Sis, why'd you stop? Weren't we supposed to be shopping for clothes? Why did you stop here? You seriously don't get it at all. When I said clothes, I meant lingerie. You silly little brother. Chloe teased me. As she pushed me into the store, isn't it kind of awkward for a grown man like me to go in there? This is a women's lingerie store. We're already here. Besides, you can help me pick something out. Chloe didn't bother arguing with me. She simply grabbed me and dragged me inside. Once we entered the store, I was surrounded by rows of delicate lace lingerie. Even someone as shameless as me couldn't stop my face from heating up. I tried to look away, but my eyes still wandered from time to time. Then Chloe suddenly asked for my opinion. Ethan, what do you think of this one? Would it look good on me? Chloe looked at me expectantly. Maybe it was because the sales associate was watching us, or maybe I genuinely thought it looked good. Either way, I quickly nodded. Yeah, it looks great. It suits you. Chloe smiled happily after getting the answer she wanted. Could you get this in my size? I'm a 36D. My eyes widened. I had no idea my sister was that well endowed. Even though I tried to look calm, my expression completely gave me away. Seeing the shock in my eyes, Chloe suddenly felt like teasing me. Ethan, what's with that look? Do you want to help your sister check the fit yourself? What? Of course not. Even though my thoughts were anything but innocent, I forced myself to keep up appearances. If you really want to, we can talk about it after we get home. I'm going to try this one on first. Go pick out a few more for me. Chloe turned and walked into the fitting room. Just then, I heard a voice behind me. Ethan, what are you doing here? I turned around and saw Grace Miller, one of the prettiest girls in my class. I might have been a little clueless when it came to girls, but I had the kind of looks people compared to a movie star. So there were actually quite a few girls at school who liked me, Grace included. But because I was so accomplished, winning awards and scholarships left and right, it made a lot of those girls feel insecure. So most of them could only admire me from afar. Seeing me inside a women's lingerie store clearly shocked Grace. Did her crush already have a girlfriend? If news like that got out, there would probably be a whole group of girls at school feeling like they'd just had their hearts broken. Grace's question left me feeling incredibly awkward. I'm here shopping with my sister. My answer immediately made Grace relax. Good, her crush hadn't been taken yet. Grace and I only chatted for a moment before Chloe came back out. Ethan, who's this? Seeing me talking to a pretty girl immediately put Chloe in a bad mood. It was almost like someone else had tried to steal her favorite possession, even though the girl trying to steal it wasn't as pretty as she was, and didn't have as good a figure either. Chloe still couldn't help feeling annoyed. Sis, she's one of my classmates. We just happened to run into each other. I answered with a slightly explanatory tone. Chloe naturally walked over beside me and wrapped her arm around mine. Hi, I'm Ethan's older sister. Chloe deliberately emphasized the words, older sister, then rose onto her toes and lightly kissed my cheek, catching the faint gardenia scent coming from her. Made my face turn bright red. She was seriously making this difficult for me. Heh, you two really are close for siblings. Grace felt as if she could hear her own heart breaking. With things looking like this, she'd have to be an idiot not to understand. Ethan, you two keep shopping. I have something to do. Grace had completely lost the desire to shop. All she wanted now was to hurry away from this place. That had just shattered her heart. I watched Grace leave, when suddenly pain shot through the top of my head. Chloe had smacked me. Still haven't looked enough? Want to go walk her out too? Seeing me watch Grace leave the entire way clearly annoyed Chloe. Even though Chloe wasn't my girlfriend, she was acting exactly like a jealous girlfriend would, and I had no idea what to do about it. 2.5 hours later, I was once again serving as Chloe's personal driver. When Chloe and I got home, Mom and Dad still hadn't returned. I assumed they had something important to handle. In reality, they were leisurely walking around the park, specifically so Chloe and I could have some time alone together. Mom and Dad seriously still aren't back? We've been out all afternoon. Maybe they went out on a date. An idea suddenly occurred to Chloe. She realized this was the perfect opportunity. Ethan, I want to show you something nice. Something nice? Is it a new game? I looked completely confused. You really don't understand anything. Just follow me and you'll see. Chloe grabbed my hand and pulled me straight toward the bedroom the moment we stepped inside. Chloe locked the door behind us. Sis, where's the thing you wanted to show me? Is it a game? I can't wait. I was practically bouncing with excitement. As a hardcore anime and gaming fan, I had absolutely no resistance when it came to games. Chloe slowly guided me toward the bed, pulling me along with her. Ethan, come closer. I'll show you. Her voice suddenly became incredibly soft. When she saw me standing there frozen, Chloe didn't bother saying anything else. She simply wrapped her arms around my neck and pulled me toward her. I lost my balance and fell directly against her. When I suddenly had trouble breathing, I finally realized what had happened. I almost suffocated. Ethan, you're so clever. How did you know where the good part was? Since you're so smart, I guess I don't need to teach you. Chloe sounded extremely pleased with herself. This conversation was definitely heading somewhere dangerous. I wanted out, but there was no escaping now. Ethan, didn't you want to look when we were at the store earlier? Chloe's voice was so soft, it almost made my legs go weak. Before long, Chloe had changed into the lace piece she'd bought earlier. I treat you like my sister. What are you doing? I immediately covered my eyes with one hand, but the gaps between my fingers were way too wide, so covering them barely accomplished anything. The position we were in was incredibly awkward. At that exact moment, the bedroom door suddenly opened. Ethan? Chloe? Are you two in here? Mom froze the instant she saw us. You two carry on? I didn't see anything. Then she quickly shut the door again. Chloe and I were still frozen in the same position, except our faces were now even redder than before. We hurriedly got up and fixed our clothes, then left the bedroom one after another. If we stayed inside any longer, the misunderstanding would only get worse. Though it was already pretty bad, when we reached the living room, we found Mom and Dad busy cooking in the kitchen. The smell of food had already filled the entire house. Before long, dinner was ready. With only the chicken soup left to bring out, Dad, Chloe, and I were all waiting at the table for Mom. Chicken soup's ready. Ethan, you need to take better care of yourself. Young people still need to watch their health, understand? Mom spoke to me with a meaningful expression. Chloe and I immediately turned red. Of course, we both knew exactly what Mom meant by telling me to watch my health. She had definitely misunderstood what she'd seen earlier. Mom, let me explain. It really wasn't what you think. Chloe and I were just messing around. I defended myself guiltily. I saw everything and you're still trying to deny it. Your dad and I have taught you since you were little that a man has to take responsibility for his actions. Are you trying to become some kind of player? Mom actually sounded a little angry. She couldn't believe her son was trying to act irresponsible. Seeing Mom getting upset, Chloe quickly spoke up for me. Mom, we really were just messing around. Keep spoiling him then. You'll regret it when he completely takes advantage of you someday. Mom looked thoroughly disappointed, as if Chloe simply refused to learn. After a long round of explanations, I finally escaped disaster. During dinner, Mom and Dad kept piling food onto Chloe's plate, while I was completely ignored. I was just about to ask why nobody was giving me anything, when I caught Mom looking at me like I was some kind of scumbag. So in the end, I silently accepted my fate. After dinner, I returned to my room. My buddy Connor invited me to play some games, and the night ended with him throwing 5 matches in a row. I had just put down my phone and was getting ready to wash up and sleep. When my door opened, Chloe had just finished taking a shower. Her skin still slightly flushed from the heat. Drops of water clung to the ends of her hair, and she was wearing a silky nightdress over her damp skin. The fabric perfectly outlined her figure. Everything about it seemed perfectly balanced. The hem of the nightdress fell just low enough to cover most of her long legs, and what remained hidden beneath the fabric was enough to send my imagination running wild. I stared at Chloe in a daze, completely forgetting to ask why she'd come into my room. Are you done staring? Do I look good? Chloe couldn't resist teasing her clueless little brother. Not done yet. You look amazing. I was completely lost in the sight in front of me, and couldn't pull myself back to reality. So I instinctively blurted out what I was really thinking. Chloe's cheeks immediately turned red. It was the first time I'd ever complimented her so directly. Ethan, do you have a hairdryer? I couldn't find one after my shower. It's not good to sleep with wet hair. Chloe's question finally snapped me out of my wandering thoughts. I immediately realized how ridiculous I must have looked, and quickly composed myself, putting on my most innocent expression, while I searched for the hairdryer. Chloe walked over to my computer desk and sat down in my gaming chair. When I found the hairdryer and turned around, I immediately became nervous because there was a certain folder saved directly on my desktop. Chloe glanced back at me and saw me standing there completely frozen. My eyes stayed locked on the computer. You think I don't know? Your head is filled with that kind of dirty stuff every single day. Am I not prettier than them? Chloe sounded genuinely offended. She was obviously gorgeous, yet her little brother still had to rely on those kinds of videos. Sis, that's completely different. How could they possibly compare to you? You're practically sacred in my heart. Seeing that Chloe wasn't going to make a big deal out of it, I immediately started flattering her. That's more like it. I'll let you off this time. But if there's a next time, As she spoke, Chloe flashed an evil smile and made a pair of scissors with her fingers. I won't. Seriously, I won't. I immediately surrendered. That scissor gesture was no joke. What are you standing there for? Come dry my hair. Chloe's hair was still completely wet. This brat seriously had no awareness at all. He didn't even know to offer to dry her hair. No wonder he still didn't have a girlfriend. Now that my sister had forgiven me, I hurried over to dry her hair. I gently lifted a section of her silky hair with one hand. A faint, pleasant fragrance seemed to linger around Chloe. Soft and subtle, I carefully dried her hair and unconsciously started humming a song. Even though Chloe had her back to me, her face still turned red. Had her little brother finally figured things out? Was this his way of testing her feelings? Then, should she accept his confession or not? This was so embarrassing. Her little brother was way too direct. What should they name their future kids? Chloe's thoughts were moving at rocket speed, without slowing down for even a second. You haven't dried my hair in forever. How are you still so good at it? Chloe asked with a smile, though there was something slightly dangerous behind that smile. I calmly explained. Sometimes I dry Mom's hair for her. Hearing that explanation, Chloe was satisfied. At that moment, I had no idea how close I'd come to getting myself into serious trouble. After we finished talking, I pushed Chloe out of my room, because a guy and a girl being alone together like this was bound to cause trouble sooner or later. Chloe stood blankly outside my room, staring at the tightly closed door. Her cheeks puffed out in annoyance. Was she really that unattractive to him? Before Chloe had even walked away, a shout suddenly came from inside my room. That instantly made Chloe furious. So I kicked her out just so I could play a couple rounds of a game. Apparently, she wasn't even as important as gaming. Not long after the match started, my buddy Ryan called me. Hello? Ethan, meet me at Connor's Internet Cafe at 8 tomorrow morning. I'm hanging up. I'm kinda tired, okay? What was that about? He sounded off. Did he get dumped? Early the next morning, I felt something tickling my nose. When I opened my eyes, I nearly jumped out of bed. Chloe was standing beside my bed first thing in the morning, bent over and brushing a strand of hair against my nose. Her faint jasmine scent immediately stirred my senses. Guys were already easy to fluster first thing in the morning. And with Chloe doing something like this, I nearly lost my composure on the spot. My face turned red at a visible speed, staring at Chloe's face only inches away. I couldn't say a word for a moment. Chloe had gotten up early and was already fully dressed and ready because she had company matters to deal with today. The headquarters she'd established in Europe had already been relocated back home, and she still had a mountain of work waiting for her. I stared at Chloe's beautiful face, her delicate features highlighted by flawless makeup, as though every detail had been carefully crafted. Everything about her looked effortlessly perfect. My gaze drifted lower, to her elegant collarbone and the fitted outfit beneath it. I immediately stopped myself from looking any farther, because I was afraid I'd completely lose my composure. So I simply closed my eyes and tried not to think about it. But even with my eyes shut, I could still smell Chloe's faint fragrance, and couldn't stop my mind from replaying what I'd just seen. Seeing my awkward reaction, Chloe's heart practically melted. How could her little brother be this adorable? He had even closed his eyes like he had completely surrendered. Ethan, what's wrong? Are you feeling uncomfortable? Chloe teased me. Sisses, can you move away first? I have something to do outside, and I'm going to be late. I was genuinely afraid of this little devil named Chloe. What could you possibly have to do outside? What could be more important than your sister? Ryan asked me to go play games. I sounded a little guilty when I said it, because it obviously wasn't anything important if Ryan hadn't sounded so strange yesterday. I wouldn't have gone to an internet cafe this early either. Damn this stupid little brother. Once again, he'd chosen gaming over her. Absolutely unforgivable. He needed to be punished. Without another word, Chloe reached out and twisted my ear hard, even shaking it from side to side. Clarice, stop. Ooh, that hurts. I'm sorry. You brat, tell me something. After I left your room last night, what were you doing? Chloe had come to settle yesterday's score. Tell me, what's more important, games or me? Obviously you are. Games can't even compare to you. You're the most important, I hurriedly explained. That's more like it. The proud Chloe decided to spare me for now. After we fooled around for a while, it was already getting late. Ryan and I had actually agreed yesterday to meet at 10 this morning, and the time was almost here. So I hurriedly got up and washed, watching me rush around getting ready. Chloe thought I might be going on a date with some girl. She immediately became nervous. So nervous that she nearly stumbled over her words. Ethan, why are you rushing out like that? And why do you look so handsome? Are you going on a date with a girl? In reality, I hadn't done anything special to make myself look good. I was naturally handsome, so I didn't need to dress up much. I was the campus heartthrob after all. What girl? It's just Ryan. He called me last night, and I could tell something was wrong, so I'm going to check on him today. I explained openly, afraid Chloe might misunderstand. After hearing my explanation, Chloe visibly relaxed. She was worried some girl might steal her little brother away. Then Chloe suddenly realized something felt wrong in Ethan's heart. She apparently ranked below another guy. Before long, I drove Chloe's McLaren to Connor's Internet Cafe. It was a place with a great atmosphere and top-tier equipment. The instant the McLaren's butterfly door opened, every girl nearby stared. A pair of long legs stepped out first, followed by a tall figure and a face handsome enough for a celebrity, all of it appearing before those stunned girls. He's so handsome, I can't handle this, and hereby. One girl whispered excitedly to her friend, only to realize her friend was already weak in the knees. Under everyone's burning stares, I walked into Connor's Internet Cafe. Even the girl at the front desk stared like her eyes were about to pop out. She couldn't believe someone this handsome had walked into an internet cafe. Usually all she saw were wannabe tough guys or overweight gaming addicts. My appearance was a refreshing change. What an absolute feast for the eyes. Hi, I reserved private room number 5. I spoke to the stunned girl behind the counter, but she didn't respond at all. She was so distracted she even seemed to be drooling. I had no idea what was going on. If you're not saying anything, I'll assume that's a yes. I'm going in. I was beyond embarrassed. I was already mentally designing an entire apartment under my feet. Only did the receptionist realize how badly she'd embarrassed herself. Her face immediately turned red, and she barely dared look at me as I entered the private room. The moment I stepped inside, Ryan rushed over. Ethan, I got dumped. Fiona's a total gold digger. The second, I ran out of money. She dumped me for some rich guy. Oh no. This was somehow turning into my problem. But then again, Ryan still didn't know that I came from a wealthy family. Mom and Dad had always believed in raising boys frugally and daughters generously, so they'd always kept tight control over my spending money. They even forbade Chloe from giving me extra cash. Their excuse was that boys with too much money would go bad, so I was constantly short on funds, with only 4,000 yuan in living expenses every month. Come on, this happens. Life isn't complete without getting your heart broken once or twice. Come play a couple rounds with me first. Before we knew it, it was already past 5 in the afternoon. Chloe finally finished her work for the day and realized I hadn't called her even once. That immediately put her in a bad mood. When she got home tonight, she was definitely going to teach her stupid little brother a lesson. Just then, Ryan's phone suddenly rang. It was Fiona calling. Ryan, since you've been trying so hard, I've decided to give you another chance. I found a bag I really like. Buy it for me tomorrow. Even I couldn't tolerate hearing that. I snatched the phone from Ryan, deleted her contact, and blocked her in one smooth motion. Then I turned back and saw Ryan looking completely devastated, as though every ounce of strength had drained from his body. He seemed to age several years in an instant. Ethan, can you come drinking with me? Ryan felt like the frustration in his chest could only be released through alcohol. Sure. Meanwhile, Chloe, who had been waiting all day for my call, was nearly furious. Where had that brat gone all day? He hadn't called her even once. Did he not miss her at all? Meanwhile, she'd been missing him like crazy. When he got home tonight, she was definitely going to give him an earful. Just as Chloe thought that, her phone rang. That stupid brat had finally remembered to call her. If this brat behaved himself, she might consider giving him a little reward when he got home tonight. Ethan, what do you need your sister for? Did you miss me? Chloe spoke in a playful, affectionate tone. From the other end of the phone, I froze for a moment, and suddenly realized that I actually hadn't contacted Chloe all day. The thought of telling her I'd be coming home late tonight sent a chill down my back, but for my best friend, I had to take the risk. I could only hope that when I got home tonight, Chloe would go easy on me. Sis, I might be home a little late tonight. Can you let Mom and Dad know? I said guiltily. Chloe nearly exploded on the spot. She had waited all day to hear from me, and this was what she got? Chloe forced herself not to get angry. After all, I was her little brother. He had to stay calm. She only had one little brother, and if she killed him, there wouldn't be another. She absolutely had to hold it in. After repeatedly talking herself down, Chloe finally managed to calm herself. At least a tiny bit. Arping. Why are you coming home late? Is there something you need to do? Chloe asked in what was almost a calm voice. She kept telling herself that her brother probably had something important to do and would come home as soon as he could. I'm going to a bar tonight. I was terrified as I said it. Chloe had genuinely tried her best, but she couldn't hold it in anymore. She thought her stupid little brother was staying out late because he had something important to do, but it turned out he was going drinking. Wow, Ethan, you've really grown bold. Now you've even learned how to go drinking? Sounds like someone's asking for trouble. Chloe was already hovering on the edge of completely losing it. This stupid little brother had challenged her limits again and again, though she didn't mind reminding him how scary his sister could be. The fear hit me instantly. The moment I heard her say that, I nearly wanted to cry. Whenever I misbehaved as a kid, Chloe would always teach me a lesson. And somehow I always ended up crying, even though she hadn't bullied me like that in years. That childhood fear was practically engraved into my DNA. For the sake of survival, I hurriedly explained, Sisses. Listen, let me explain. One of my friends just got dumped. I need to help him through it. I'm worried this breakup hit him too hard. What friend? Which friend? Are you making someone up? Chloe immediately fired off question after question. Sisses. Hello? Hello? What's going on? The signal's terrible. Sis, I'm hanging up. I'll explain everything when I get home tonight. I quickly pretended the signal was bad and ended the call, leaving Chloe alone on the other end. Completely speechless, Chloe stared blankly at the disconnected call. Her whole mood instantly soured. Apparently she'd been spoiling her little brother too much. Tonight, she'd make sure he understood the authority of his older sister. After hanging up, I went to the bar closest to Connor's internet cafe, E's Bar. There were plenty of stylishly dressed girls outside, walking toward the entrance in small groups. Some were waiting for friends while others stood around chatting, whether they were women or men. The moment a flashy supercar came speeding toward the entrance, everyone's attention was drawn to the McLaren. The single men and women nearby stared straight at the doors. I parked the car, and the spectacular butterfly doors lifted upward. A pair of long straight legs stepped out first. The girls nearby immediately held their breath, as though their dream guy had finally arrived. Then my athletic figure rose from the low driver's seat of the McLaren, and my celebrity-level handsome face appeared before the women watching. Even women who spent every night around clubs and bars couldn't help feeling their hearts skip a beat. However, I couldn't even be bothered to look at their flirtatious poses, because my heart already belonged to someone. Ryan and I walked straight inside. Inside Breeze Bar, flashing lights and pounding music, came in wave after wave. All kinds of men and women lost themselves on the dance floor. Young women confidently showed off their looks and figures, and the men were more than happy to watch, their eyes following every movement. I actually wasn't a fan of places like this. Coming here to drink with Ryan was something I only did because I had no better option. I noticed how depressed Ryan looked beside me and hurried to comfort him. Ryan, that kind of girl isn't worth being upset over. She's just a gold digger. I patiently tried to reason with him. Ryan understood everything I was saying. He just couldn't let go. Ethan, I know all that, but I still feel awful. What am I supposed to do? It had been Ryan's first relationship, and he genuinely loved Fiona. He never expected her to be such a shameless gold digger, who couldn't look away the moment money appeared. Ryan, stop thinking about her. Just drink. After you sleep it off, you'll feel better. I didn't know what else to do, so I resorted to the oldest solution there was, drinking away the pain. Maybe once he sobered up, he'd finally let it go. The two of us drank glass after glass. During that time, plenty of girls came over and tried to flirt with me, but I never gave any of them a second glance, and just kept drinking with Ryan. That made several girls who approached me start wondering if I was gay. After Chloe got home, she casually made up an excuse for Mom and Dad, saying I had something to take care of. Time passed quickly, and I still hadn't come home. Chloe started getting worried. What if some sketchy woman took advantage of her little brother while he was drunk? He was so handsome. There were definitely girls who might try something with him. The thought made Chloe panic. She needed to find me immediately. Using the McLaren's location history, Chloe found where I was. She drove a Bentley to Breeze Bar by herself. After searching around the bar, she finally spotted us in a corner. Two drunk guys with their arms around each other's shoulders. Ryan was the one who had gotten dumped. Yet somehow, I'd managed to get drunk too. Her little brother really was something else. Chloe prepared to carry me home. But when she looked at my tall frame, she fell silent. Chloe herself was only around 5'7", and I stood more than half a head taller than her. She took a deep breath. There was no helping it. Ethan was her little brother. No matter how exhausting it was, she'd carry him home herself. She wasn't letting anyone else touch him, not even another guy. Fortunately, Chloe had trained in Taekwondo for several years. Though she was stronger than she looked. I wasn't particularly heavy, but being well over 6 feet tall still made me difficult to carry. Chloe struggled as she hoisted me up. Before leaving with me, she handed the bartender several hundred yuan and asked him to get Ryan a room nearby, telling him to keep the rest as a tip. As for expecting Chloe to bring Ryan home too, not a chance. I can still drink. Ryan, keep going. Don't stop, I mumbled drunkenly, while waving one hand around. Chloe was completely speechless. Even drunk, I still couldn't make things easy for her. After a long struggle, Chloe finally managed to get me into the Bentley. By the time she drove me home, it was already very late. Mom and Dad had gone to bed. After all, they both had their own businesses to manage. Chloe carried her little brother, who was more than 4 inches taller than her, all the way to the front door. With considerable difficulty, feeling the warmth of my body against her back made Chloe's face turn red. Even while riding on Chloe's back, I was still mumbling, Ryan, when you look for a girlfriend next time, open your eyes and choose carefully. You should learn from me. Before I could finish what I wanted to say, I fell asleep again. Chloe instantly became alert. She desperately wanted to wake me up and ask what I meant. What did I mean by learn from me? Could it be that this stupid Ethan had secretly found a girl behind her back? Chloe's mood immediately crashed. She treated her little brother so well. And he'd actually gone behind her back to find a girlfriend? No way. This wasn't over. She had to find out the truth. Chloe carefully opened the door, then dragged my sleeping body inside, as quietly as possible. After another exhausting struggle, Chloe finally managed to drag me into her bedroom, then tossed me onto her large bed. The room was filled with her faint fragrance being dropped onto the mattress. It made me slightly more awake, though I was still completely groggy. The soft bed was filled with Chloe's familiar scent, and I immediately relaxed, like a lost child who had finally found his way home. It smells so good, it's Chloe's scent, I mumbled brokenly through my drunken haze, with a contented expression on my face. Hearing those easily misunderstood words made Chloe suddenly feel embarrassed. She hadn't expected Ethan to like being around her this much. Chloe looked at the drunken little pig sprawled across her bed, and a mischievous smile appeared on her face. Tonight, she was determined to make her brother reveal the truth. She walked over to the bed, kicked off her shoes and climbed onto it, looking down at me as I slept. Then, an idea suddenly came to her. She slowly crouched down. Ha! Her blouse, tightening slightly as she leaned forward. The fabric strained against her figure. Even the buttons pulled taut, as though they might pop loose at any moment. Chloe sat down on my back, while I was still lying there asleep, and I immediately felt the added weight. Even breathing became a little harder. I tried to move, but couldn't get up. Seeing my face turn red, Chloe thought I was just as adorable as I'd been when we were kids. Then she rolled me over, and once I was lying on my back, Chloe leaned down toward me. Apparently, I'd just earned myself a free facial cleanser trial, courtesy of Chloe. Then I let out a few strange noises. Ugh, save me. I'm drowning. A smile spread across Chloe's face. A smile. It looked 30% proud and 30% playful, with the remaining 40% pure mischief. I could feel my breathing growing more and more difficult, as though I were sinking into the ocean. Even though I knew how to swim, why did I suddenly feel like a complete landlubber? The ridiculous part was that I was still on dry land, yet I had the suffocating sensation of drowning. Apparently, even dry land could have dangerous waves. Chloe watched me struggle for air and realized her chance to interrogate me had arrived. Prisoner Ethan, do you plead guilty? Chloe suddenly seemed like a completely different person. She struck a regal, queen-like pose. Her commanding aura was almost overwhelming. May I ask, Your Honor, what crime did I commit? In my dream, I thought I was standing in a courtroom, with the judge above me interrogating me, and her face looked exactly like my sister's. Prisoner Ethan, someone reported you for explicit conduct. Is it true or not? Chloe hadn't expected me to actually play along. Report, Your Honor. I have never done such a thing. I'm a gentleman of noble character. I sounded completely indignant. I was clearly an upright gentleman. So why would anyone report me? Fine. Then this judge will temporarily believe you. But I have one more question you must answer. Chloe planned to use this opportunity to find out whether her little brother truly had feelings for her. Your Honor, please ask away. I will definitely answer. All right, Ethan. Do you have improper thoughts toward your sister, Chloe? As Chloe asked the question, her own face turned bright red. It was unbelievably embarrassing for her. Even the judge in my dream seemed to blush. In that instant, for a moment, I truly thought the judge in my dream was my sister. And the question made me hesitate. Was this really something I could say out loud? Even if it was only a dream. It felt far too real. I wasn't even completely sure I was dreaming. Of course you can. Ethan, if you want to be acquitted, you must speak the truest thoughts in your heart. Say whatever is on your mind. Don't be afraid, Chloe coaxed me again. Fine, since that's the case. I'll just say it. I figured this was my own dream anyway. So, what did I have to be afraid of? Even though my sister picks on me sometimes, I've never seen her as a real sister. Hearing that, Chloe suddenly grew nervous. The tension in the room instantly spiked, because she's not my biological sister. And she's so beautiful. Of course I'd catch feelings for her. My expression turned conflicted, like a child admitting he'd done something wrong. Even though I don't know if Mom and Dad would support me and Sis, I really don't want to hold her back. She'll eventually have someone she likes. I can't make her give up her freedom just because of me, I said heavily. At that moment, Chloe could no longer hold back her tears. They fell one after another like tiny diamonds, sliding down her cheeks and landing directly on my face. The scene in my dream suddenly shifted. I saw Chloe crying right in front of me, and my heart ached terribly. Sis, please don't cry. Worst case scenario, I just won't like you anymore, okay? Stop crying, please. No, I like you too. So you have to like me. If you dare stop liking me, Chloe was terrified that I might truly stop liking her. In my dream, seeing her suddenly confess to me filled me with overwhelming joy. If only this were real, I thought. How wonderful would that be? Still drowsy, the two of us eventually fell asleep in each other's arms. Early the next morning, Chloe slowly opened her eyes and looked at my fair, clean profile resting in her arms. Her heart immediately fluttered. I was still fast asleep, while Chloe quietly admired me, watching me sleep. She noticed my long eyelashes flutter slightly, and couldn't resist tickling my nose with a strand of her hair. Feeling the sudden itch, I slowly opened my eyes. The very first thing I saw was a large expanse of fair skin, with a deep neckline just below it. What was going on? Who was the woman right in front of me? Had I seriously been taken advantage of? I nearly panicked and quickly raised my head, only to find Chloe looking down at me with a playful, teasing smile. What on earth was happening? Why was I in my sister's bed? Seeing my shocked expression, Chloe found it absolutely adorable. Ethan, what's with that look? Surprised? Chloe teases. No, I'm just curious. Why am I in my big sister's bed? I asked cautiously. Chloe immediately put on a deeply aggrieved expression. Ethan, you heartless jerk, just as Mom said. You really are a scumbag. Now that you've used me and taken everything, you actually don't want to take responsibility? Chloe looked utterly heartbroken, fully committing to the act. I couldn't believe I'd supposedly done something like that while drunk. Wait, sis, I blacked out. I can't remember anything right now. Can you give me the details? Can you tell me what happened? I desperately wanted to know exactly what had happened. What followed was Chloe's dramatic, tearful performance. She described the entire scene in vivid detail, saying I'd been completely wasted the night before and had called her to come pick me up, then supposedly dragged her straight to bed the moment we got home. Chloe even repeated the things I'd said the night before, almost word for word. I was completely stunned, and this time I believed her, because everything Chloe said matched the images from my dream almost perfectly. So it hadn't been a dream after all. I looked at Chloe with a solemn expression. Sis, I am deeply sorry for what I did. I was drunk and really didn't know anything, but don't worry, I will definitely take responsibility. When we eat breakfast later, I'll talk to Mom and beg her to let us be together. I was unbelievably nervous, afraid Chloe wouldn't forgive me and might end things between us. Meanwhile, Chloe was practically bursting with joy. She hadn't expected her silly little brother to be this devoted and responsible. Still, Chloe didn't agree to my suggestion. Instead, she continued the lie. Ethan, you know how it is. Mom and Dad, they've always raised me as their own daughter. If they find out about what happened between us right now, they'll probably lose their minds. So we can't tell them. I foolishly nodded along. That makes sense. Then I'm really making you suffer. I apologized with complete sincerity. Chloe could barely keep herself from laughing. What choice do I have? Our relationship is destined to stay in the shadows, after all. Chloe was completely absorbed in the role now, and clearly had no intention of stopping. Sis, don't worry. One day, when I become stronger, I will break through society's judgment and let us walk out in the open together. Chloe was genuinely touched. Her silly little brother really did have a strong sense of responsibility. Are you still calling me sis? When it came to Chloe, I always seemed to catch on quickly. All right, mother of my future child. It was almost as if I could read my sister's mind and knew exactly what she was hinting at. Chloe immediately became annoyed. Her stupid little brother really was an idiot. Who wants to have your baby? Chloe continued dropping hints. Double. Wife, wife. Even though saying it felt incredibly awkward. My survival instinct was stronger, and I finally managed to force the word out. Why is your voice so quiet? Haven't you eaten yet? Apparently, I really hadn't eaten yet, I thought to myself, but I definitely didn't dare say that aloud. W-I-F-I, you shout at the top of your lungs. Please. Why are you yelling so loud? Chloe quickly covered my mouth. Mom and Dad are still home, even though our house is pretty big, and the soundproofing in the rooms is fairly good. You still can't shout like that. Ethan, aren't you going to help your wife get dressed? Chloe ordered me around without hesitation. Hey, clothes coming right up. Helping my lady wife get dressed is such a treat. The moment I heard that I could help Chloe get dressed, I moved faster than a rabbit. I looked at Chloe, her long, silky hair cascading down her back, while she wore only her fitted undergarments. Morning sunlight streamed in from the side, highlighting her pale skin and outlining her graceful silhouette. I was completely mesmerized, seeing the foolish look on my face. Chloe felt a surge of pride. Her silly little brother was clearly captivated by her. My face burning red. I helped Chloe button her shirt, one button at a time. Next came her office skirt and stockings, probably afraid I'd get too embarrassed. Chloe put the skirt on herself. Although I felt relieved, a tiny part of me was still disappointed. At least the stockings were still left. I carefully rolled one stocking down and gently slipped it over Chloe's foot. Her foot looked smooth and delicate, Even her small toes looked ridiculously cute. For a moment, I almost wanted to cradle her foot in my hand and admire it a little longer. Are your lady wife's feet pretty? Do you want to play with them? Chloe's lips curl up slightly. Pretty. I do, I answered without hesitation. Since Chloe and I were supposedly in that kind of relationship now, holding her foot didn't seem like such a big deal. Wife, can I hold your little feet? By then, calling her wife was starting to feel much more natural. Chloe was clearly worried I'd accidentally say it in front of Mom and Dad, so she pretended to hesitate. Well, why not? Once she gave me permission, I gently held Chloe's feet and teased her, making her burst into laughter. After fooling around for a while, we finally got out of bed. Since Dad had gone out for a morning run while Mom was cooking breakfast in the kitchen. So neither of them knew that I'd come out of Chloe's room first thing that morning. Not long after we finished washing up, breakfast was ready. The whole family sat down together to eat. At the table, I looked incredibly guilty. I didn't even dare look at Mom or Dad. Mom noticed how strange I was acting. So she asked, Ethan, what's wrong? Don't you like the food? No. How could I possibly dislike anything you cook, Mom? I hurriedly explained. Then, what's going on? You look weird today. Maybe I just didn't sleep well last night. I'm feeling a little off. There was no helping it. I had to make up an excuse. I obviously couldn't tell them the truth. Mom and Dad would probably kill me, watching me seriously make up excuses. Chloe couldn't hold back her laughter. She suddenly burst out laughing. Luckily, she'd already swallowed the oatmeal in her mouth. Otherwise, she would have sprayed it everywhere. When Chloe finished laughing, she realized everyone was staring at her. The awkwardness instantly became unbearable. Chloe, what's with you? Gates. Chloe quickly made up an excuse too. Nothing. I just remembered something funny. By the end of breakfast, Mom and Dad were completely confused. What was wrong with these two kids? Why were they both acting so strange today? But they didn't keep asking. After all, neither of us was a child anymore. It was normal for us to have some privacy. After breakfast, Mom and Dad left for work. They both had their own businesses to handle. Chloe needed to go to her company, while I had to go to school. Even though I'd already started my internship, I still hadn't graduated yet, so I still had to attend classes. I didn't drive Chloe's McLaren, because showing up at school in that would be way too flashy. I already had plenty of girls chasing after me, just because of my looks. If I started driving a McLaren to campus too, things would get completely out of hand. So I obediently took the bus to school, even though I was riding the bus. Along the way, there were still plenty of girls secretly looking at me. The guys in my dorm were ranked by age. When I got back to the dorm, a few of my roommates were discussing the upcoming sports meet. Ethan, are you planning to sign up for anything this year? Our oldest roommate, Brandon Lee, suddenly asked me. My physical fitness was exceptionally good, even better than some of the guys majoring in sports, and I was skilled at all kinds of athletic events. If it weren't for the fact that my academic grades were even more impressive, people might have assumed I was a sports major. What events still need people? I asked. Our second oldest roommate, Jason Miller, immediately answered, high jump, the 100-meter dash, the 4x100 relay, and the 1,000-meter run. Nobody really wants to sign up for those. Jason was one of the people who definitely didn't want to participate, because he almost never exercised. He was skinny as a stick. Making him compete would have been practically asking for his life. All right, sign me up for all of them. Brandon, put my name down. I was too lazy to go register myself, so I made my class rep roommate handle it for me. After chatting for a while, we headed to class. I was majoring in finance, and today's class was mainly about financial markets. The four of us had barely sat down before we could feel eyes coming from every direction. There was no helping it. With the campus heartthrob as their roommate, the three of them were used to people staring wherever we went. The three of them were already used to it. Whispers kept floating around the classroom, from girls completely obsessed with me. My Ethan looks so handsome today. No wonder I chose him. Chin up. Ethan looks handsome every single day. And let me make this clear one more time. Ethan is mine. Are you declaring war on me? You think I'm scared of you? Bring it on, other than me. My three roommates heard the entire exchange and couldn't stop themselves from laughing. Our youngest roommate, Tyler Grant, nudged me. Ethan, why don't you just date both of them? Then they can stop fighting. I gave him a look that told him everything he needed to know. because we were sitting fairly close to the front. The professor also heard the two girls arguing. "You two over there, what's going on? If you want to argue, take it outside." Even the professor had finally had enough. After being scolded, both girls blamed the other and immediately stopped speaking to each other. Their fragile friendship was probably finished. Meanwhile, the real culprit, Ethan Carter, was leisurely, playing with his phone and texting Chloe. Things at her company had temporarily settled down, so Chloe had plenty of free time, which meant she'd been chatting with me constantly. By now, I'd completely slipped into the role of her boyfriend, constantly checking on Chloe and asking how she was doing. It was something she'd never experienced from me before. Chloe had always thought I was hopelessly clueless about romance. She hadn't expected me to be so thoughtful. I even asked whether she was feeling uncomfortable or suffering any after effects from last night, but nothing had actually happened between Chloe and me last night, so how could there possibly be any after effects? Still, to keep one lie going, she had no choice but to make up another. So Chloe sincerely told me that she was feeling a little uncomfortable and needed me to take care of her. The moment I heard that, I became energized. Even though I had no memory of last night, there was always the option of making up for it later. After all, Chloe was my girlfriend now. We chatted for a long time. My roommates watched the stupid grin on my face, and their curiosity immediately shot through the roof. They kept asking what was going on and whether I'd gotten a girlfriend. At first, I wanted to brag about it, but then I remembered my roommates might misunderstand the relationship between Chloe and me, so I immediately refused to answer their questions. "Tia," Brandon said, "Ethan, you're seriously not being a good bro. You've got something good going on and won't even share it with us." My face immediately darkened. Other things could be shared, but how could I possibly share my girlfriend? The guys noticed my expression and realized they'd said something wrong, so they awkwardly stopped asking. Besides, I wasn't normally a stingy person. Maybe it really just wasn't convenient for me to talk about it yet. The guys all understood, which made me feel deeply relieved. These idiots had finally learned some common sense. We only had one class that morning. By the time it ended, it was basically lunchtime. Tyler immediately became excited. His favorite part of the day had finally arrived. He eagerly dragged all of us toward the cafeteria. The four of us hurried over, and along the way, we attracted plenty of attention from both younger and older female students. "Senior Ethan is so handsome. I want to have his babies," one excited freshman blurted out. "Ethan really is ridiculously handsome. It's such a shame he'll graduate in a few months, and we won't see him anymore." A pretty senior who's about to graduate looked genuinely disappointed. But because we were walking quickly, none of us clearly heard what they were whispering about. After my three roommates got their food, I walked up to the serving window. The cafeteria lady behind the counter stared at me in surprise. She hadn't expected to see such a handsome young man. He'd look perfect with her daughter. "Young man, what would you like? I'll give you a little extra." The cafeteria lady was unusually enthusiastic. Seeing how eager she looked, the corner of my mouth twitched. Was this lady actually interested in me? I could understand younger girls or seniors liking me. But if an older cafeteria lady was interested too, that was more than I could handle. No, ma'am, I don't eat that much. Just give me a normal portion." I politely refused. "I'll take some spicy chicken." That's enough. But I watched as she kept adding spoonful after spoonful and immediately started getting nervous. Was this supposed to be my last meal? Was I about to get dragged away afterward? "Young man, all this extra food isn't free. You wouldn't want the other students to find out that I gave you so much." The cafeteria lady's expression gradually became strange. "Ma'am, what are you trying to do? I'm warning you, we live under the rule of law. Don't do anything crazy." A familiar saying suddenly came to mind. Boys really had to protect themselves when they went outside. "What are you talking about?" "Young man, what kind of person do you think I am? I just want your contact information." Seeing how guarded I looked, the cafeteria lady became embarrassed. My three roommates watching from the side completely lost it. They couldn't believe I was this popular. I really appealed to every age group. "Come on, Ethan. If she wants it, just give it to her. What's the big deal? It's not like you can't." At that moment, the cafeteria lady realized I'd misunderstood her and hurriedly explained, "Young man, I don't want your contact information for myself. I'm asking for my daughter. Let me show you her picture." You definitely won't regret it. She pulled out her phone and showed me a photo. On the screen was a girl whose figure practically filled the entire frame. The four of us instantly fell silent. Well, young man, regretting saying no now? For the same price. Wouldn't getting a bigger one be a better deal? As she spoke, the cafeteria lady even looked strangely proud. We'd gotten to the cafeteria pretty early, but by now plenty of students were arriving. So I immediately seized the opportunity. Ma'am, I'm not good enough for your daughter. The four of us quickly made our escape. Hey, young man, don't you want to think about it some more? Seeing us run away, the cafeteria lady became anxious. But there was nothing she could do, because a lot of students were waiting for food. So she had no choice but to give up. Looking deeply disappointed, the students behind us were the unlucky ones, because the cafeteria lady started serving food while still irritated. And everyone discovered their portions were suddenly much smaller. The cafeteria was huge, yet everyone somehow seemed concentrated around one area. The four of us sat in the middle, surrounded by a ring of girls, and beyond them was another ring of guys. Jason, who normally talked nonstop while eating, was. He barely said a word today. Everyone just kept their heads down and focused on eating. And once we finished, we hurried back to the dorm. At 6 p.m, I said goodbye to the guys and headed home. They immediately complained that I had it way too good. Being able to go home every single day made them insanely jealous. There was nothing I could do about it. The other three were all from out of province, while I was the only one born and raised in South River City. I rented a shared bike and rode home, just as dinner was being served. Ethan, how do you always manage to come home exactly when dinner's ready? Can't you ever come back earlier and help me cook? All you do is wait around to eat. Mom saw me collapse onto the couch and start playing with my phone, and immediately began complaining. I quickly tried to sweet-talk her. Come on, Mom. I had class. I'll definitely help next time. If only you were half as responsible as your sister. Chloe's company just passed a market value of $10 billion. Mom sounded deeply disappointed in me. How could her two children be so different? My wife is amazing. Chloe, sitting nearby, nearly jumped out of her skin. And I wasn't doing much better. I'd almost let the truth slip. Luckily, Mom didn't seem to notice. Soon, all the dishes were ready, and the four of us finished dinner together. Meanwhile, clueless as ever. The thought that I could review last night's lesson later had me ridiculously excited. I almost wished Mom and Dad would go to bed immediately. Chloe stayed in the living room watching TV with them, then suddenly noticed my burning stare from beside her. She turned her head toward me and immediately became embarrassed under my gaze. Chloe lowered her head with a blush. God only knew what kind of naughty thoughts her stupid little brother was having. I assumed Chloe was simply embarrassed, so I took the initiative. Sisses, I lost every game I played today. Want to play with me for a while? I asked with an innocent expression. Anyone who didn't know me would have thought I was some completely innocent virgin. Well, technically I still was. Without even waiting for Chloe to answer, I grabbed her hand and dragged her toward the bedroom. Mom and Dad didn't think much of it, but the moment we entered the room, I showed my true intentions. I shut the door. Seeing how impatient I looked, Chloe suddenly got nervous. Was her stupid little brother really going to make a move on her? Should she go along with it or pretend to resist? But if she didn't resist, wouldn't I realize she'd lied to me? Seeing Chloe standing there lost in thought, I assumed she was just shy. So I took a deep breath and decided to be more proactive. After all, I was the guy. It was normal for Chloe to feel embarrassed, so I needed to take the lead. Wife, I want to review what happened last night. Can I? Chloe stared at me in shock. She lowered her head even farther. What was she supposed to do? Chloe was practically panicking. What she never expected was that I would be even more impatient than she was, although the two of us were impatient for very different reasons. When Chloe didn't answer, I took her silence as agreement. So I slowly wrapped my arms around her waist. Her slim waist fit easily between my hands. It felt almost delicate enough to hold with one arm. The instant I touched her, Chloe felt heat rush through her, along with a strange tingling sensation. Chloe realized, again, her entire body had gone weak, so she naturally leaned against me. Even through my clothes, she could feel my firm chest. Her hands naturally came to rest around my neck. That nearly destroyed the last of my self-control. I lowered my hands and lifted Chloe off the ground. She clung to me like a koala. Forget about me. Even Chloe was starting to lose control. I felt myself reaching my limit, so I immediately carried her over and set her down on the bed. Just thinking about reviewing the lesson made my heart race. Chloe's heart skipped a beat. Hopefully this wouldn't expose the fact that she'd lied. But this couldn't keep going. Chloe realized she had to calm down. Otherwise, everything would fall apart. She absolutely couldn't let the truth come out. If her little brother discovered she'd lied to him, he might stop talking to her altogether. And then everything she'd done would have backfired. She'd regret it for a long time if that happened. I impatiently leaned down and kissed along her neck. Chloe's graceful neck quickly turned visibly red. If she didn't stop this now, it would be too late. Ethan, not today. It's that time of the month. Chloe instantly regained her composure and stopped me from going any further. Her words hit me like a bucket of cold water, dumped straight over my head. I immediately stopped what I was doing, feeling my hands stop, and seeing the obvious disappointment on my face. Chloe immediately regretted saying it. But to keep her lie from falling apart, she had no choice but to stick with it. Even though I was a little disappointed, at least I'd already had enough excitement for one night, so it wasn't a total loss. Just then, someone knocked on the door. After what had happened last time, Mom had finally learned to knock. Chloe, stop playing around. Come help me check something. Am I doing this exercise correctly? It doesn't look quite like what Coach Ryan taught. Mom had recently become obsessed with workout routines and watched the live stream every day on schedule, without missing a single session. Bing. Chloe looked incredibly relieved and immediately bolted out of the room. Before she left, I gave her a meaningful look, clearly saying we'd continue next time. Chloe stuck out her tongue at me playfully, then ran off without looking back. The more I thought about it, the more annoyed I became. Everything had been fine yesterday. So why had her period suddenly come today? Talk about terrible timing. After calming down, I suddenly realized something didn't quite add up, but I couldn't figure out exactly what. Then it suddenly hit me. There had been several spicy dishes at dinner today, and Chloe had eaten plenty of them. What was going on? Was she really okay eating that much spicy food right now? Still, I didn't dwell on it, because I respected Chloe's boundaries. I simply made a mental note of it. The only problem was figuring out how to calm myself down. So I instinctively reached for my phone, put on my headphones, and about 40 minutes later, I finally managed to settle down. Then I lay on the bed and drifted off to sleep. Early the next morning, Chloe came to wake me up. Morning sunlight spilled across my fair, handsome face. My sharply defined features bathed in golden light, as though outlined by a glowing edge, almost like an ancient Roman sculpture. My athletic build was faintly visible beneath the covers. Chloe found herself staring. Damn it, how could a guy look this good? Even the lines of his muscles were almost unfairly perfect. She could barely bring herself to wake this sleeping beauty. If she hadn't heard me mention at dinner yesterday that I had class this morning, she wouldn't have bothered waking me at all. But since she was giving me a free wake-up call, surely she deserved a little reward. If she wanted a reward, she'd apparently have to take it herself. Chloe reached out one delicate hand and gently stroked my cheek, tracing the clean lines of my face. Seriously, how could someone look this perfect? It was like Chloe's hand had gotten glued to me. She couldn't bring herself to pull it away. I felt a small hand constantly moving over me and slowly opened my eyes, looking lazily at Chloe as she admired me. Chloe hadn't noticed that I'd already woken up and was still lost in her own little world. Seriously, Chloe, are you going to let me sleep this early in the morning or not? I sighed helplessly, though I didn't exactly stop her either. In fact, I was almost a little proud. When did you wake up? My voice instantly shattered Chloe's fantasy. This was so embarrassing. She couldn't believe I'd caught her staring like that. No, she needed to restore her authority. Otherwise, how was she supposed to control me in the future? Hey, look at the time. Get up already. Chloe tried to sound fierce, though she still looked adorable. I reached out and gently pinched her small, delicate cheek. Chloe looked ridiculously cute today. She pouted unhappily. This guy actually had the nerve to pinch her face. Normally, Chloe had the image of a cool, domineering older woman, but seeing her pout like this nearly melted me. The contrast was way too adorable. I shamelessly demanded, I need a kiss first. Otherwise, I'm not getting up. I flopped back onto the bed, spreading myself out like a starfish, with my face pressed into the pillow and my lips puckered as I waited for Chloe to kiss me. Chloe finally regained a little confidence. When I'd pinched her cheek a moment ago, she'd almost felt like she was the younger one between us, but she wasn't going to satisfy me that easily. So Chloe leaned down lightly and left a faint kiss on my cheek. I immediately pouted. Chloe had only kissed my cheek. Why hadn't she kissed me properly? Still, since Chloe had kissed me at all, I couldn't exactly keep refusing to get out of bed. So I reluctantly got up. What's this? Ethan, you little brat, Chloe suddenly noticed. A crumpled piece of tissue on my nightstand, she exclaimed. Don't touch that. Before I could finish, Chloe had already picked it up. Damn it. I'd forgotten to throw it away last night. Chloe held the wrinkled tissue, which still seemed slightly damp. She brought it closer for a curious sniff. Ugh, it smells weird. You really are disgusting, Ethan. Chloe looked at me with obvious disdain. At that moment, I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. This was beyond embarrassing. And Chloe was actually inspecting it. Sisses, stop looking at it. Just give it to me. I was genuinely mortified. This was way too humiliating. The wholesome, innocent image I'd always had in Chloe's eyes was completely gone. Yeah. My little brother is actually embarrassed? It's fine. I understand. Chloe gave me a knowing look, then tossed the tissue into the trash. I finally breathed a sigh of relief.